Hello, how are you all? Right, okay, so who's seen my TikTok live today, Wednesday the 2nd? If you have seen it, you'll know that this is going out a bit later. If you haven't seen it, then apologies. If you've been waiting, we've had sickness in our house for about a week. So, you all know that last week, obviously, my voice wasn't great. It's not been great for weeks, to be fair. I've been getting a sore throat on and off, but all weekend I've had the worst sore throat all this week. Although we're only on Wednesday, but you know what I mean. And that sicky feeling, you know, when your mouth goes watery. Really tired, hot, whatever. The boys have been ill. Yeah, it's just been a lot. Then stuff to do with school to deal with, stuff with work to deal with. We had the doctors today. So yeah, it's been one of the ones. So I am currently at 8:30pm, just finished work, and I am now recording this podcast that should have been out an hour and a half ago. So again, apologies. I will try not to do it again, but things happen, life takes over. That's what happens when when you work, or you've got a business and you've got a family and you've got a house and you've got everything to deal with. You just have to fit things in when you can and try not to stress. So, talking about not stressing, this week is going to be a bit kind of relaxed of sorts. We're going to talk about friendship, family, when friends become family, when you have to distance yourself sometimes with family, and sometimes not making people feel like they have to feel a certain way towards family members or certain people because they may not know the background. Anyhow, so if you do have struggles and you're unsure how to deal with them when it comes to friends, family, this might help you. It might help you come to terms with things in your head. It might bring up some questions you might have. And if you do have questions at the end of it, feel free to message me. We can work through it, help you get hopefully answers that you're looking for, or just for closure, or to move forward, whatever it may be. So me personally, I have many friends that I now consider family. I also have many family members who, I'm trying to put it diplomatically, have distanced myself from and distanced my children from. And that's just the way it is. Like, just like with any random person in the street, doesn't mean it's just because they're family, doesn't mean to say that you have to have this grand relationship with them and you have to be in each other's lives every day or whatever. Things may have happened in your life to make you distance yourself from a person. It could just be that you don't click with a person. That's absolutely fine. Like, how many times have we said we can't like everybody, or if we were all the same, life would be boring? All these phrases, and I'm sure you say it to your children if you have children, or your friends, or your family members, or whoever it may be, colleagues, when they feel as if they're not getting on with somebody or somebody's not getting on with them. I'm sure you've said to them, well, we can't all go on, or we can't all be the same, or we don't all like the same people. So why is it different for you? You have heard me talking probably many times about Ainsley and Danielle. Two of my best friends. One lives here, one used to live here, but she very rudely moved abroad. Very, very rudely. Anyway, they're probably more like family to me than most of my family members. And if any of my family members are listening, don't mean any harm to yous if I don't talk to yous, but that's just where life is. Ainsley and I have been friends since we were, now I'm trying to think what age you go to secondary school at. So in Scotland, we go to secondary school when we're 12. So we must have been 13. Yeah, just turned 13. Ainsley would have just been going 13, because as she keeps telling me, there's about 6 weeks of an age difference between the two of us. I'm the start of August, she's the middle of September. So there you go, Ainsley. I've admitted online, publicly, that you are 6 weeks younger than me. But hey ho, you were still going to be 13, okay? So she would have started, I'm sure it was like when we first went, I want to say it was the first day back into second year. I don't know, Ainsley would be able to tell you. But anyway, very beginning of second year, when we were 13. Me and Ainsley have been friends since then. But obviously, through the years, you lose contact, you get contact, lose contact, get contact again, blah, blah, blah. And we've done that many times. But this time, it had stayed. We have stayed in contact. And obviously, social media and different things help. And the fact that we've both got the same interest when it comes to our businesses. We've got a lot of things in common when it comes to the kids. Her husband, as you've all heard, or if you've listened to earlier podcasts, her husband is also my husband. I mean, he's not really, but that's a running joke. So yeah, Ainsley and I are very close. My youngest especially is very close to Ainsley. He would probably approach her before he would approach other people in the family. And that's just purely because he finds it easier to talk to her. So we have a joke that he would rather go to Ainsley's house than go to my mum's house. My mum absolutely hates it. She doesn't, to be fair. And that's just the way it is, because he feels comfortable at her house because we all have a laugh and everything else. And obviously some of you will know, some of you don't know. He has his own issues. So yeah, and then you've got Danielle, who we've been friends since my youngest was about a year and a half, almost 2. So almost 16 years. Yeah, it will be about 16 years. And that's another, that friendship came about quite weirdly, actually, in the sense that I used to be an Ann Summers rep. So I used to do the Ann Summers parties, if anybody remembers them. Don't even know if you still get to do Ann Summers parties, to be fair. I used to do Ann Summers parties, and she had actually came to one of the parties, and we grew a friendship for them. She came to work for me because I had worked up to become a manager and everything else. I had my own team. She came to work for me, and we just stayed friends. And again, she's very much family, and her girls call me auntie and whatever else. So yeah, friends can become family, or more of family, or however you want to phrase it. So I would class them, I would go to them before I would go to anybody, I think, about any situation. Danielle probably knows some of my deepest, darkest secrets, and so does Ainsley. And I know I can trust them, and I know they'll take them to the grave as they can trust me. So sometimes we just grow bonds with different people. So, for example, I'm really, really, really trying to choose my words carefully here, because Helen might listen to this. And if any of you don't know who Helen is, Helen's my mother. And she might give me a slap if I don't word this correctly. And how shall I put it? Not even diplomatically. Somebody write in with the right word for me. You all know I've got brain fog. But anyway, if I don't word this in a way that it won't cause a war within the family, Helen will absolutely annihilate me. So, I have... Let's do the whole family tree, right? So, we've got my mum, we've got my dad's side. My mum's side, my dad's side. My dad was an only child. My mum was one of... Oh, here we go, I need to count. 6 or 7. Wait a minute. 1 of 7. That took me a while. I had to go through everybody's names there. So my mum was 1 of 7, or is 1 of 7. My dad was an only child. But my dad has an aunt who... Do you ever, because you don't see somebody on a regular basis, or you haven't seen them for a long time, and you have a vivid or a certain memory of a person, and you think, you've kind of got them on this pedestal that they're such a nice person. So I've got 3 family members who were like that. So one was my dad's aunt, Yeah, my dad's aunt. But she moved to Australia. So the last time, my last memory of her was probably when I was about 5, I think. I must have been about 5. And I don't know if that's when she moved to Australia or if she was just over for a visit. But I would have been 4 or 5. And I kind of remember her. So I always remember her being a nice aunt and whatever, because to be honest, I just remember her being there. I don't actually remember much about what would happen when you seen her, because we would always see her at my dad's grand's, so that's fine. But then fast forward about 25, 30 years, something like that. Yeah, about 25 years fast forward, and there was a family member who wasn't well, and we weren't sure how long they had left. So she had come over from Australia, which was lovely, and I was so excited to see her, because like I said, had this vision, she was such a nice person, blah blah blah. So she came over, she stayed in the family member's house. I was told it was my decision whether she was allowed to stay there or not, so I was rubbed my hands together because it was the first time I was in charge of anything to do with family. It's like, yes, I'm in charge here. Anyway, that's a joke. So she came over, me, my gran and my 2 boys went to go and meet her and her daughter, and that was fine, and it was all lovely and everything else. Didn't stay lovely. And no, this woman had very many faces. So she was supposed to be over for, I think, a month or 6 weeks, something like that. But she was not the nice person that we thought she was going to be. And I'm not going to get into it because obviously I don't know if she's still here and whatever else. I think she has passed, but obviously we don't have any contact with her or her family anymore. But there was a lot of things that she'd done that she shouldn't have done when she was here. So I got the delightful job to tell her to get back on that plane. And after what she did do to the family, I was delighted to tell her that. I did ask my dad permission first. I said, Dad, can I tell her to sling her hook? I mean, I don't think that was the exact wording I used. My dad's like, you do you, Aileen, because he knows that when I've got a bee in my bonnet, you can't stop me, I'll just do it anyway. So told her to sling her hook, and then she continued to cause trouble for the family for a few months, a year, something like that later, which me and my dad just laughed off because there wasn't many family members left. So basically she was doing it to me and my father. But yeah, so that's that side of the family. Everybody else in the family I got on with absolutely fine. Sorry, I'm getting tangled up in all my wires here. I don't know what I've done this week with my setup, but somehow I've set it up and I'm getting tangled. So that side of the family is absolutely fine because there isn't many people, to be fair, for me to fall out with. And if anybody knows me out there, once I've made my mind up about you, there's not much change in that mind, and I am very stubborn. Like, if I don't want to talk to you, I won't talk to you. Who was I talking to about this? I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, I think it was, or today, and it was, I'm going off topic. Now we all know I go off topic, but I'll go back on topic in a minute. But this was about me being stubborn, about how I was seeing a guy and we went to go and visit his family, but me and him weren't actually talking at this point. I mean, we were still in a relationship. We just had a falling out that day or the night before and carried on. And we were going to his mum's and he was like, when we go to my mum's, can you like just at least pretend that we're talking? And I went, no. I'm not here to make you look good, sorry. So anyway, that's yeah. I'm trying to be nicer as I get older. I'm nicer as I get older. I'm not a bad person. I have one of the faces that if I'm annoyed at you, it's going to be written all over my face. So there's no point in me kidding on with my mouth that everything's hunky-dory, because my face will tell a different story. So back to the original story. So there's not many people in my dad's family, obviously, because my dad was an only child, blah blah blah. So really there was like my gran my dad's uncle, who he's very close to, but he was in the Navy, Merchant Navy, so he was always away at sea. So growing up, there was really only my dad, my gran, and my dad's gran. His uncle would come back from sea every however often, but had his own life. And then the rest of the family either lived down south in England, or one family member moved to Greece. The rest of them, I think, moved to Australia. I mean, dotted all over the place. Let's just put it that way. So that's fine. That's that family talked about. And then my mum's side, obviously with her being one of 7, there's a lot. And when you get so many people, I mean, you're never going to get all the people to get on all the time. Does that make sense? Like, do you agree? So every relative had 2 or 3 kids. So let's count the cousins. Oh, wait a minute, I'm making an awful noise here. 3, 5, let me count. 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm going to say there was just short of about 20 of us out of all the cousins. So there was my mum and our 6 siblings, so there was 1 of 7, and then between all of them, between my mum and our brothers and sisters, there was roughly about 20 of us, which made for a good party until obviously we started getting a bit older and we started seeing things like some cousins were very sleek it, some were just a lot older than us, so we weren't in the same things, and they were, by the time we were kind of a wee bit older, they were already away living their adult life or teenage life or whatever else. Some cousins I seen very regular, some I didn't see as often. Got a couple of cousins who I would say I'm close to, a couple who I maybe was close to and don't really talk to as much, and I've got a couple that I was never really close to at all because of whatever reason. Anyhow, so that makes for interesting viewing when you're all in the one room, and we were recently, but I'm not going to get into that but anyhow, so I don't know what yous are like, but I find that the older I've got, the sharper the tongue I've got. And I explained, me and my cousin, one of my cousins who I'm pretty close to, were talking about it the other day on the phone. And I was saying, I think the problem is, me and her were both walked all over it, grown up, as children and grown up, teenager, early adulthood. We were walking, trod on, reversed on, whatever, all the way through. She's still very timid. I'm not. She doesn't really get into it. She just ignores it all. Whereas I won't start any kind of confrontation, but if somebody says something I don't like or I don't agree with, I now won't just sit there and take it. I will now rip them a new one, basically, in the kindest way. You get so many chances with me and then that's it, you're gone. And it depends on the severity of it as well. So the person might be listening to this and whatever, but sorry, there's noise. I'm going to move away from this desk a wee bit because I think that's what wait, hold on, hold up, wait a minute. Right, wait, I'm just going to try and fix this a wee bit because something's not quite tightened. I think that might be a bit better. Right, we're not shaking anymore. Do you remember that advert? You do the shaking, Vic. I'm not going to sing too much of that in case they try and sue me. Don't know how that works. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so there's one particular person who has maybe done a few things that will never be forgiven. They will never be forgotten. But I'm quite happy to live my life and you live your life. There's somebody else who is very much a troublemaker, stirs the pot, lights the cat, lights the bomb, whatever you want to say, and sits back and just watches and rubs her hands together. So there's kind of a mix of that. So yeah, if you're reading between the lines, you can maybe understand why I choose my family. I am not always born into my family. So I have friends who are more like family, and family who are more like distant, very, very far away. Very... I'm trying to be nice. It's really hard. Have you ever tried to be nice about somebody that has really not been nice to you your whole life? And I don't want grounded. And I know for a fact Helen will give me a clip if she listens to this. And I mean, Helen, you hear it every day. Shh. So, I do have family who I don't keep in touch with. I won't keep in touch with. I care for them, would never want them to be hurt, never want anything to happen to them, but I just don't want to spend time with them either. That was actually quite good for me. And that wasn't a lie, like that was all true. Everything I said was true, but I put that very nicely. I could have said that in a completely different way. Especially as I have PMT. And any females out there listening who struggle with PMT really bad, and it really affects your mood, and it affects your mouth, you'll feel my pain. You'll understand where I'm coming from. Men who are on the other side of it, when you've got a female that you know or live with that's got PMT who cannot contain her mouth at that time of the month, you will also understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, right, so jokes aside, family and friends, one can become one and one can become another and whatever. And like I said, sometimes it's an age gap, sometimes it's an age thing, sometimes it's a distance thing because you maybe live too far away from people. Although I do believe that if you want somebody to be in your life and if you want to contact, then there is ways and there's nothing really to stop you these days, because there is social media, there is phone calls, there is text, there is whatever. For example, Danielle lives abroad and we still manage to speak to each other. Not necessarily every day. In the winter, more so every day. But this time of the year, not really, because she's very busy with work and children and whatever else. Whereas in the winter, she doesn't work because the season's closed where she lives. So, although her and her husband do have a business together, he runs a business and she does her other job at night, a couple of days a week. So we just try and fit things in during seasonal time. And then when it's out of season, we're in more contact then. Hence why we've still not recorded our podcast today. I did say that to her today. I said, do you realise we were supposed to record the podcast like a week or two ago? And I actually think we were supposed to record it this week as well. And she went, I know, we'll get around to it. But that's our answer to everything. It'll happen when it happens. A bit like my love life. Again, jokes. So, when it comes to family, and you can feel obliged sometimes that you should feel a certain way towards them, or you should speak a certain way, or you should do this, or you should do that. But then that might not be how you're feeling. And you can't get angry with yourself for that, and you can't punish yourself for that. You can't overthink it either. So, for example, if you've got a family member who has lied about you, or has been abusive towards you, or they've done something that you can't forgive, if you don't feel a certain way towards them, you can't force that. And nobody can tell you how to feel towards somebody just because it's a family member. If this was a work colleague and they had said something about you that wasn't true, they had been abusive towards you, whether it be verbally, physically, sexually, whatever, or they had done something you couldn't forgive, for example, slept with your partner or whatever, you wouldn't feel as if you wouldn't feel obliged to be protective of them. You wouldn't feel obliged to speak to them in a certain manner. You wouldn't feel obliged to keep them in your life. So why do you have to? Because it's a family member. And I think what makes it hard is because society or other family members potentially make us feel as if we have to because it's a family member, and we genuinely don't. I've got family members that have done things that other family members don't know about, and they probably will never know about. And they'll say, you can't hold a grudge forever, or blah blah blah. And I'll say, well, you don't know what's going on in my head or what's happened, so you can't say that to me. So I will process this the way I want to process it. If I ever want to tell you, I will tell you, and if I don't want to tell you, I won't. And that's the end of it. The same when it comes to my boys. That's the way I've brought them up, is you have in your life who you want in your life. And if you don't want somebody in your life, you don't make anybody force you. Just because it's a family member doesn't mean to say that you have to feel a certain way towards them. If they have a negative impact on your life, then they're not the people for you. You want to have the right people round about you to make your life healthy and happy. And the only way to have a happy life is to have people round about you that make you happy and that don't make you feel sad or don't make you feel angry or don't make you feel as if you're inadequate. All these different sort of descriptive words. Is a descriptive word an adjective or a noun? I can't remember. There I go. My brains went somewhere else again. Anyway, so there's different ways to describe how people can make you feel, and if the way you're describing how somebody makes you feel is not a positive way, that person does not need to be in your life unless you choose. I'm not saying because somebody isn't positive you can't have them in your life, but what I'm saying is if you don't want them in your life because they're not positive or they're not treating you the way they should treat you, that's entirely up to you. That is your decision to make. You may have 10 friends who you speak to every minute of every day and see them 3 times a week or whatever else, and they might know more about you than some family members, and that's absolutely fine. That is absolutely fine because you've chose to allow them to know these things about you. You've chose to have that kind of relationship with that person, so that's naturally evolved potentially. It's not being forced, whereas if it's somebody who you would imagine is close to you, you've always been brought up to think that they should be close to you, but it just feels forced. Maybe pull back a bit. I'm not saying you have to cut them out of your life altogether, but you choose how often you want that person in your life. You choose how often you speak to that person. It could be birthdays, Christmas, all the holidays, or it could be you speak to them once a year, or you maybe speak to them once a month, but nobody can tell you. You have to make that decision for yourself. You can ask somebody's opinion, like if this happened to you or if this person done that to you, how would you react? But their answer might be a different answer to you. How they react might be different to you. So you might say, this person said blah 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 about me. How would you react if it happened to you, if it was your, let's just say, sister? And they may say, oh, I just know what she's like, so it wouldn't bother me. But then if it's something that's been said to you your whole life and it does bother you, then that might not be the reaction that you've got. And it's the same as if the two, you and your friend, were going to go and buy a car. She might like a big car, you might like a small car, she might like a silver car, you might like a red car. Everybody's got a different opinion of what's acceptable, what they want in life, what they like, what they don't like. Same comes when it comes to family and friends. You might be in a friendship circle where there's one person in that friendship circle you just don't get on with, but that's absolutely fine. It just means that you don't have as regular contact with that person. You maybe only see them when you're all out as a crowd, and you maybe talk to others and whatever. And you know what it's like when it's a big crowd of friends that's out. You're never all sitting talking to each other at one time. It's normally 2 or 3 people here and 4 or 5 there and blah blah blah, and everybody's in their own wee sort of circles talking, because it can get very loud, especially if it's females. And take that from experience when I used to do the Ann Summers parties. Females are loud. Don't let them kid you. There's also the thing about when you're having maybe a big event like a wedding. Who do you want at your wedding? And who dictates who goes to your wedding? Would you dictate who goes to your wedding? Or, for example, if you've got parents that are very kindly offering to pay for your wedding, are they allowed to say exactly who goes to your wedding? And they may want to invite somebody that you don't want there. So what would you do in that instance? Would you speak up? Or would you just go with it? Bearing in mind this is your wedding. And just because somebody has very kindly offered to pay for your wedding does not mean to say they have final say on everything. And if they do say, well, I'm only paying for the wedding as long as such and such comes, then they're not paying for it out of the kindness of their own heart. They're paying for it to potentially allow who they want at the wedding and not who you want. It's just wee things like that to keep in mind. What happens when you start having children? And family members may invite other family members up to visit, and you maybe not necessarily want them now. It can be very hard, it's very tricky, and you've got all different emotions at these times because you're absolutely elated, you've got this baby, you're also tired because you've just had a baby, and you've got everything, and then somebody turns up. How does it make you feel? Again, if they just turn up or they've been invited and you didn't know, I suppose there's not really much you can do. Just my best advice would be keep enjoying your baby. Don't let it take away any of your delight. You don't necessarily have to talk to them. You can be going having a shower, you could be doing something else, you could be talking to somebody else, because you know what it's like when you're in hospital and you're just had a baby. There's about 20 million people who want to come and visit you. Although, did they really want to visit you, or is it the baby? Because I do find that anytime anybody came to see me when I had children, they were all queuing over the baby. I don't think they actually came to see me. I think they came to see the baby. But yeah, just have a think about how people treat you, and I suppose where your loyalties lie. Your loyalties lie with people that are good to you, you're good to them. Your loyalties maybe lie with your children, your partner if you've got one, your grandparents, your parents. But again, so here's the next part of it, is what I hear very often is your mum has to be your best friend, your dad has to be this, don't speak about your mum like that, don't speak about your dad like that. How can you dare say that about your grandparents? Well, let me tell you, just because potentially you've got a really good relationship with your parents, your grandparents, your whoever, does not mean that everybody has that. Now let's bear in mind, some people have been in foster care, some people have been adopted, some people have just had a horrendous time with their family because maybe there was drugs involved or drink involved, abuse, which can be verbal, physical or sexual. You've got mental abuse, you've got financial abuse. There is so much that can happen behind closed doors that you don't know about. And people might put a smile on. Like, you might have a friend at school, from school, who always smiled, and whenever you came to their house for dinner or whatever else, the family all looked as if it was a very happy, loving family. But then you don't know it's exactly like that when you left that house. None of us know how somebody else has been treated unless they open up. Now, this isn't necessarily one of the problems where it's going to happen to everybody you know. It may happen to one person, it might not happen to anybody you know, but you need to be careful at what you're telling people they have to do. You see it quite a lot on social media as well, and it's about, how dare you speak to your whoever like that, and how dare you, and that's your mother or that's your father and you should never speak to them like that. They brought you into this world. They may have brought that person into this world, but we don't know how they've treated them, how they've been treated their full life, or even just part of their life, because it only takes one bad memory to stick in somebody's head. Some of us will have it, some of us won't. Some of us can relate, some of us can't. And that's the way the world goes. Everybody's story's different. Everybody's start, middle and end of their biography is going to be different. We all come across different situations. We all come across different people. We will have different experiences, different holidays, different friendships. You might keep friends that you've had since nursery, and you may have them right up until the day you die. You may change your friendship circles every few years. A lot because of my past and things that have happened to me in the past, and because of my mental health struggles and whatever else, I do find it very hard to trust anybody. Regardless, it can be family, it can be friends, it can be anybody at all. And I'm not saying I change my friendship circles all the time, because obviously I've said that I do keep friends for long, but what I don't do is I don't really give people second chances. And if you do get a second chance, you're very, very lucky. And I don't say that as in, oh my God, you're lucky that you got a second chance from me because I'm whatever. What I mean is, because I don't give people second chances, so if you do and then you mess up again, you're gone, and that's it. And that's just the way I deal with things, and that's absolutely fine, because that's what works for me. But that might not work for you, because maybe when you lose a friendship because of a certain situation, you are very sad, very upset and whatever. But I have learned over the years of how to protect myself, how to show certain people enough, but not everything, not leave myself vulnerable, because there's been times, and we may get into it in future podcasts, there's been times where I've been in very vulnerable situations. And yeah, I will never, as long as I have the, what's the word? The power over it? I don't even think power's the word. As long as I can help it, I will never be in a vulnerable situation again. But again, sometimes people overpower us and you don't realise it, or people can creep into your life and be one person 1 minute and something another minute. So, and I think you have heard that the story about me when it came to the whole online dating, and that will never happen again. Very weird people on that sometimes. Not everybody, so don't panic. I'm not tarring everybody with the same brush. So yeah, just be very careful that you're not letting anybody manipulate that's easy for you to say, manipulate their way into your life, and vice versa. I mean, we're talking about how people might have behaved towards you, but also be mindful about how you're behaving towards others, because you may be, what I'm describing just now may be how you're making somebody feel. And let me tell you, like, yeah, and it is the saying, and some people say, oh, that can't be true or whatever else. The saying about how bruises heal, but words stick with you forever is very, very true. Some words that stuck with me for a long time that, how will I word it, didn't help my mental health, didn't help my eating disorder, let's put it that way. And again, I'll get into that at a time where I'm ready to talk about it to everybody, because again, it's opening myself up, isn't it? It's letting people in and making sure I do it at a time where I'm ready and I'm not being forced into telling my story. Not that anybody's forcing me, I don't mean it like that, but I need to tell my story to however many strangers when I feel ready, the same as anybody that I offer to come on to the podcast to tell their story. I want you to tell it at a time when you're ready and not feel as if, oh, I need to jump at this chance just now because I might not get the chance again. The chance the opportunity will always be there for anybody to come on. As long as this podcast is still going, you'll have the opportunity. Nobody will ever say no to you if you want to come on and tell a story, or if you want me to tell your story. So yeah, again, we talk about this quite a lot on this podcast. It's about the being mindful, being kind. And if you want to have people in your life that care about you, love you, and you care about them and you love them, or however you might feel towards them, we all need to start being more mindful toward each other, because mental health is a real thing. And yeah, some some cases of mental health will happen regardless, maybe born with it or whatever, it's one of these, it's maybe hereditary or whatever else, but there is a lot of things when it comes to mental health that is due to the way someone's been treated. And again, it can be any kind of, I suppose, abuse, attack on them. It can be bullying. It can be something that's happened in their life. Maybe they've lost somebody and they've lost their way. And I suppose that's one of the best ways to describe people that are going through a mental health journey, is they've lost their way a wee bit, and they need that help and they need that support to get back on track. But never ever force anybody to feel a certain way towards a certain person. And you might love that person and you might have seen a nicer side to them, but just be mindful that not everybody maybe sees that side to them. Just be mindful that somebody might have known them longer, or somebody might have spent some time with them when you've not been there to witness things that have been said or done. Anyway, that was a bit, that could have went a completely different way if I wasn't being mindful. How do you feel about the whole family friend thing? Do you have friends that have become family, or family that have become friends, or family that are no longer in your life, or friends that are no longer in your life? I also have friends that are no longer in my life, and again, it's about protecting yourself, and it's about, I still care about certain friends that are no longer in my life, and I'll love them to the day I die and whatever else, but they're just not healthy for me to be around, especially when I can be very vulnerable at times. I'm trying to think. Sorry, my brain fog. See, I can't even talk. There's very many triggers throughout life that can spiral me. But because of where I'm at just now, and especially with me working in mental health, I know what to avoid. I know situations that I need to avoid, and I know scenarios, and I just know what's good for me and what isn't good for me. And the minute I feel something isn't good for me and isn't healthy and is maybe starting to trigger me, I have to pull away from it, not just for my own sake, but also for my two boys, because I need to be the best version of me for them. I need to be the best version of me for my clients, and I need to be the best version of me for the people that are in my life for the right reasons, because I want to be able to help them. So, and it's not me saying you have to behave this way to be in my life. It's not that at all. Maybe we just aren't meant to cross paths at the minute. Maybe we're just not meant to be that close. Maybe it's one of the ones where, yeah, you would just check in with each other every 5 years, 10 years, once a year, once every 6 months, whatever it may be. But I don't need to have certain types of people in my life 24/7. I'll find the right people. I've got the right people. You'll find your right people, and hopefully you've got them in your life just now. And if anything that I have spoke about today, like I said at the beginning, if it has triggered anything, or if it has made you question things, or if you're unsure or you want to talk something through, send me a message. You can contact me on any of my social media pages. All the messages are opened, all the DMs are opened on Instagram, Facebook, and what's that other one? TikTok. Why is there always one social media page that I forget every single week? Or you can email myself at rebootyourthoughtspodcast@gmail.com. Again, like I said, I was asking you at the start, did anybody watch my live earlier on? I mean, I couldn't even tell you how many people were on it, because I was trying to multitask, and anybody that knows me will know that that's not for me, the whole multitasking thing. Well, depends what I'm doing. I can talk and do the dishes at the same time. I can talk and drive. I can sing and drive at the same time. Although my son will say, I can never sing. I can sing and drive. Don't listen to him. He talks a lot of rubbish. But anyway, I'm in the middle of trying to build a website. Now, I feel as if I've been trying to build this website for 10 million years. I've built websites in the past before. I wanted to freshen up my website for my therapy business. I was initially going to go with a different company, but then they decided to be douchebags. Is that a polite word to say? So I told them I will never buy another product off them again. And as I said earlier on in the podcast about me being stubborn, I will never buy another product off them just purely because I've said it to them. So I've said it to them, so I have to follow through. I cannot backtrack on that, or Aileen is very weak. No, I'm only kidding on. But I do have my domain name with that company, but I have told them I'm not buying anything else off you, because every time I try and buy something else off you, mess me about, or you end up doing something to mess it up or whatever else, and you lie to me, you missell me things and whatever else. So I am not buying anything else. So that's me. I'm not buying anything else off them. Which means that I potentially have to go back to the place where I had my website with anyway. This is what happens to me. I just spiral. I go into overdrive, and then, do you know when you go to buy something for a night out, and you start at one shop and you see something, you're like, maybe, but I'll go and look elsewhere, and then you go to 25 other shops and you buy that first outfit that you've seen. That's a bit like me when it comes to anything to do with building a website. So then I spent all day yesterday Googling the best website builder sites, whatever you want to call them. Guess what came up? The one I'm already using. That was number one. That was a top site to use. So I went back on, and I'm like, right, okay, I'll just stick with these, and let's see if I can just change my website a wee bit and whatever else. And then it comes to the bit where it says, right, let's choose your domain name for you. So you do it, and it chooses a domain name for you, or a load of domain names for you to choose from. But like I said, I already have a domain name, which is obviously, for anybody that doesn't know, and I'm not saying you're daft or anything like that, I would never have known had I not already had a website. But your domain name is your www. whatever your name is. So I says, no, you're alright, pal, I've got my own wee domain name, I'm waiting, I'll type it in for you. So I types in my domain name, and it tells me, because I've got my own domain name, I then need to, what's the word they use? Upgrade. I need to upgrade my plan. Why? Why's that? So then I was like, well, will I use that domain name, or will I just not upgrade and use a different one? So then I got myself in a wee tizzy, because I'm like, do I use .co.uk? Do I use .com? Do I use .online? Now, I've never seen a .online anywhere before. Here I go, I'm in a rant. So, answers on a postcard. I've not said that for a couple of weeks. Would a .online put you off going on a website? This was my dilemma yesterday. That took me about 3 hours. And by the end of it, and I was like, I'm shutting my laptop, because I'm actually going to throw it right through the window. So I'm no further forward. Can anybody tell me, should I go stick with my .co.uk that I've got? Should I go .com? Because obviously that's a bit more worldwide. And I do want to be further afield than just the UK. Or do I do .online? The problems in my life. I mean, really? So anybody, regardless of whether you're in business or you're a consumer or whatever you want to class yourself as, can you please help me and tell me what one to choose? Because I have now given up building my website until I can decide what name, because I can't really move any further forward until I put my domain name in. It won't let me move forward, and I'm going to cry. I'm actually going to cry, because I feel as if I'm just going to end up not having a website for another 6 months, and that's no good either, because I need a website. But I do want my website to be, I don't want it to be cheap as in tacky looking, but I don't want it to be expensive either. So we've got a price in mind. I don't know, any of you build websites, just do it for free. I'll advertise your business for you. Anyway, this time next week I will be back on here saying to you, mind that website I was talking about last week. I've still not built it. I've still not picked a name. None of yous have helped me. I need somebody to help me pick a name. So if any of yous would kindly like to pick a name. Not pick a name, but tell me if I'm going with .org. No, it's not even .org. See there, I've just added another one in that wasn't even in the list anyway. So am I choosing .online, .com, .co.uk? Please, please, please help a sister out. Anyway, let's tie this up a wee bit. So I don't think anything's happened to me this week because everybody's been not well, so there's not been any time for anything to happen. But what I do have to tell you is my neighbour had a bed in it yesterday. I even phoned my other neighbour and I was like, look out your window, she's got the bed in it. But what I found funny, right, here's a question for you. When you're making your bed and you're putting all fresh bedding on, right, bear with me with this one, does everything match? So obviously you've got your bed sheet thing that goes on your mattress. That might match, it might not. I'm not really interested in that part. Then you've got your quilt cover, duvet cover, whatever you want to call it. And you've got your pillowcases. Do your pillowcases match your duvet cover? Because my neighbour had 2 quilt covers out and about 4, 5, 6, something like that, pillowcases out, and not a single pillowcase matched any of the duvet covers. It really bothered me. It really did bother me because it wasn't even anything that was a similar colour. It just, yeah. Do you know one of the ones where it's like, it plays on your mind because you're like, how can you allow that to happen? I mean, I guess we've all done it. I guess we've all maybe had bedding one time that's maybe not matched, or you've had to change something because maybe a wee one's been sick or something like that, you've been sweating and you've changed the pillowcase. But surely that means there would be at least one pillowcase matching that bedding. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being pernickety. But anyway, there was no swinging last night. But it might mean that it's this weekend. I don't know. I'm so nosy. This is why I like programmes like I'm a Celebrity or Big Brother. Because I like to see how other people live and I like to see the real side of people. But I'm just very nosy, in all fairness. And I don't deny it. My living room's out the back in my house. I swear if my living room was at the front, oh my God, I'd have all the gossip. I'd have it all. I'd be a wee curtain twitcher. I'd be like eyes. If you've ever watched Still Game, I'd be wee Isa, peeping through my letterbox, seeing what Jack and Victor are up to, who they've got visiting. But no, nothing really has happened to me this week, apart from the fact the school phoned me the day just for a wee check-up and they're like, how are you? And I'm like, never done answer. I don't need, no, my brain, listen, see all day today, right, not even a lie. I mean, we're at nearly half 9 at night, so I've been talking a lot of rubbish for the last hour, but all day today, every time I go to talk, my mind is just blank. If you've seen any of the videos I've put on social media today, or you've seen me on live, look at my eyes are so tired. I am so tired, so throat, so tired. But I don't sleep. This is one of the problems. I don't sleep very well at night. I wake up at least 4, 5, 6 times at night, and then I wonder why I've got suitcases under my eyes the next day and I look as if I've went 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that because I feel as if the lights are on but nobody's home. My brain is very much like that today. The lights are on but nobody's home. Somebody could be knocking on Aileen's door and she just, that wasn't a euphemism by the way, don't be getting your dirty minds out. But yeah, Aileen be like, do we like, I can't get up to answer the door, sorry. Anyway, I am going to leave it at that because I still need to edit this. So you will be listening to this on, it'll go up Thursday morning. I'll try and have it up for 10 o'clock in the morning. Again, as I say every week, if you would like to come on as a guest, if you have a story to tell or you would like me to tell a story, if you have a business you'd like me to advertise, or if you would like to sponsor the podcast, or if you would like to book in for any of my therapies, then you can contact me by DM on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or you can email rebootyourthoughtspodcast@gmail.com. Also, if you are not on my therapy page, which is the Reboot Sanctuary, then you'll not have seen the video I put up today. So I'm looking to potentially do pop-up clinics again. I used to do them before, and I've not done any for about 2 years. So if anybody's got a business that would like to incorporate counselling, coaching, hoppy air candling, Indian head massage, cupping massage therapy, hot stone massage therapy into their business as a pop-up, or even as a regular thing, it wouldn't be able to be every day. Let me know. More so if you live in Glasgow, East Dunbartonshire, North Lanarkshire, South Lanarkshire, Perth, Edinburgh, anywhere in between. Possibly even Dundee, actually, because that's not that far from Perth. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at now with that. I am also... Oh, sorry, I had to move there, I had a pain. I'm also looking for premises still, potentially for my therapy business, and also it would need to have space for me to record my podcast as well, because I'm hoping to get everything in its own wee place rather than in my own wee living room. I want my living room back. I want to get new furniture. I want to be free again. So if you have premises, North Lanarkshire, East Dunbartonshire, Glasgow South, Glasgow North, let me know and we can discuss, please, and thank you. I think that was all I said. Oh, no it wasn't. If you have a Christmas event, and again, sorry for using the C word, coming up, and you would like a sort of wellness person there to show off what you could be booking in for, to demonstrate, I can come along to that as well. And I'm also going to be adding more things in next year, towards the beginning of next year hopefully, but it might be a couple of months in. I'm not sure. I'm not that organised today, as you can tell, because I rabbit a lot of nonsense half the time. So I am going to go. I'm going to edit this, get it uploaded as soon as possible. I'm probably going to edit it in the morning when I get up, before I start work. Oh, I've got a sore ear. This should be up for 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And if you do want to get in touch, you know how. And I'm going to leave it at that, because again, I'm just repeating myself. But I will hopefully speak to you all soon. I will be going live more on TikTok, so if you want to join me on there, I'm going to try and go live on Instagram and Facebook at some point as well, but I'm not sure when. I don't know. My brain's not working, soz. Anyway, I'm away to bed. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good weekend, and I'll hopefully speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye bye.